Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Outside the Box Conversations. And the person we have on the podcast today is extremely, extremely important to me. Rosanne, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Rosanne, you are such a special person in my life. For the people who are outside of the Knoxville office, you might be a patient up in the Tri-Cities or just a fan of the show and haven't been to one of our offices yet. Rosanne Holt is with us today, and she is she's a mainstay in our Knoxville office. She's a medical assistant and phlebotomist / best friend to 98% of the patients that come into that office. So I know if you are a Knoxville patient, you know who I'm talking to. Rosanne, I love you, and I just want to begin the show by saying
I love you too.
We're going to have so much fun today, and I appreciate you getting on the show. And we had a recent Q&A show for those who are listening. We have a live Q&A show every Tuesday, and Reiki came up and as a question for Dr. Rogers, and Dr. Rogers doesn't know much about it, and yet we, being in the integrative medical space, hear about it all the time. And Rosanne is a Reiki expert. And why don't we just start by, you telling us a little bit about what Reiki is?
Okay. I think the easiest way to just give a brief summary about it, and then we can go on and talk about it. My Reiki instructor, Pamela Nine, wrote a little brief thing about it that she's had, and I think it will help. So Reiki is an ancient Japanese art of natural healing energy. The word Reiki is made up of two distinct Japanese kanji symbols, which translated are universal life energy. The advanced system, yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't need to go. Go ahead.
Well, the word that comes to mind when I think of Reiki is you hear Reiki and you also hear chakras.
Yeah.
So let's go. What is a chakra for those who don't know, which includes myself?
Okay. Chakras are your 7 energy centers. There are more all over your body, but the main ones, there is your crown, your third eye, your throat, your heart, your solar plexus, your sacral, and your root chakra. And if these are out of balance, it can throw different things off in your body. You can get illness, depression, a variety of things when they're off. So with Reiki, we try to work with that universal life energy, which there is no religion or anything associated with Reiki, but with me, it's a connection with God. So I try to help balance those through Reiki.
So Reiki is something an exercise that you would do to balance the 7 chakras or energy centrals, universal energies. How do you know if they're out of balance?
Okay. Well, when you're in tune with the body's energy field, you learn this through working on people. The easiest way I could say it for somebody that's not done it, have you ever walked into a room and you're feeling fine and everything, and you walk into a room and all of a sudden just this person's energy just hits you and you feel a different feeling? Your part of you naturally just wants to almost back up sometimes. Do you know what I mean by that?
Oh yeah, I know exactly.
Or you could pick up on somebody. So when you work with Reiki, you learn how to feel that body's energy field, how to pick up on things, and you'll feel it going through the different chakras. And so you'll concentrate on those different areas with the Reiki energy.
So explain to me when you say with the Reiki, what does that mean? Is it, because I kind of associate Reiki with, forms of acupuncture and things of that nature. what is somebody doing when they're doing Reiki?
Okay. So maybe I should read a little bit of this. Within the essence of Reiki lies an intrinsic balance between heaven, earth, and humanity. It's not based on any belief system, religious affiliation, nor is it dependent on any intellectual capacity level of spiritual development. Reiki is recognized as safe, effective, natural method of healing for your body. What you're doing with Reiki is, and I could say in my own sense, it's that connection with God, with with other people. It's their own understanding of their higher power, but letting that come through you, flow through you, and go and help these people.
So it's a connection.
Yes, definitely. It's connecting with that universal life force energy.
Okay, so basically, in a sense, someone who is doing Reiki with somebody, it's like you're a medium of energy to compensate for somebody's imbalance with the chakras.
Right. So with me, everybody's a little different, but with me, I'm praying to God to come through me to help lead my hands where they need to go and to help me intuitively find what I need to work on and where I need to lay my hands.
So is it some sort of, so there is physical touch involved?
There is physical touch, but you can also at times work above somebody's aura.
Sure.
And you'll work up here. There have been times when I have been working on somebody 5 inches, 6 inches from their body, and they'll later come back to me, afterwards and say, well, I felt when you were over my stomach and it felt like you were going in there and touching my stomach. And I'm like, I wasn't even touching your stomach. It's wild.
And when you're going over the aura or even physical touch, are you around the 7 chakras? Like, do you focus on, is that kind of your focal points?
At points we are. At other times we could be holding other places in the body, like the feet, like the knees, the hips, the shoulders, the head.
Out of curiosity, have you ever done any massage therapy? I know
I'm a massage therapist.
Okay, and I forgive me because guys, Rosanne has such an extensive experience. She's done so much of everything, and it's easy to like miss something. And so you are a massage therapist.
I'm
and
a massage therapist. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm sure you built some of the Reiki philosophy within your massage practice.
Yes, and also my aesthetic practice when I was doing aesthetics.
Right.
I incorporated in it. People didn't even know I was doing it when I was doing it.
I find it fascinating, and I'm such a big believer in energy. And so, like, as a layman, just people who aren't super educated in the Reiki philosophy and the Reiki practice, what are some things that we can do to help with our energy? Because nobody wants to be that person that walks into the room and just has like a bad energy about them, and it's real. As soon as you said that, I'm like, man, I've experienced that. I've been in rooms like that. How can, like, just in a few sentences, what are some things we can do?
I know things that you could do yourself to protect yourself from that. I always ask God to surround me in a big bubble of white light so that I am protected from picking up on because I can pick up on the energy and it can affect me. And that's happened many times. So I always will just ask God to surround me and protect me. That's simple. How to not be one of those people.
Yes.
Be aware of your emotions. Be aware of what's going on with you and try not to dribble it out on other people.
So, so what would, because I know, so many people, listening and watching are interested in Reiki. What would they, what would they go there? What would they start doing this for? If again, there is, now people are becoming a little more aware of it. What are some of the, if we can say symptoms, what are some reasons people might want to explore this way of doing things?
Um, if they have, for number one, any kind of physical problems, any kind of disease processes, um, any kind of emotional issues, if they have past trauma. A lot of times I have worked on people and a memory will come out with tears and the people will start crying and they'll be like, oh my God, I never even remembered that. But they had like a vision of a memory that came out and it came out to heal. So,
Hmm.
so it's emotional, physical, and spiritual. And a lot of people, when you work on them, they actually will, it will like renew their faith and renew their spirituality or spark their spirituality to start growing in it. Um, and it's also like for people that have gone through chemotherapy, radiation therapy, have cancer, it can very much help them. I have a dear friend, Sherry, and her sister Rachel had brain cancer. And she told me I could talk about her, but I used to work on Rachel a lot of times, and it seemed to soothe Rachel and help her get through all that.
So, it's mentioned with healing, and the way I'm hearing you is a lot of the healing has to do with getting things out. Getting, whether it's an emotional pain, physical pain. Can you explain a little bit more about that process in terms of, you know, so much of this is emotional, and I'm going to ask another question here in a bit, but let's start there. Like, um, there's something about holding things in and not knowing that they're trapped inside us, and it's causing, disease. Often it's causing, a lot of physical pain sometimes. Can you explain just that connection, and the importance of knowing that stuff is in, and getting it out, and kind of, and using, Reiki as a way of doing that? Does that make any sense at all?
Hmm. Well, I know that like they say that anger turned inward, meaning you're suppressing the anger, will cause depression, will cause illness in your body. There's different points on your body that a lot of practitioners will say, oh, they have knee pain, they've got anger. Different things are held in different muscles in your body, and by working on it, it helps release it. Now, I will, when I meet with somebody, probably sit with them for 15 minutes at first. What's going on? Talk to them about it. What do you want to work on or whatever? But and I'll focus on that. But many times other things will come out because there's layers. It's like an onion and it's peeling off layers all the time. And so it will maybe start out as one thing, and then we come up to something that they had totally forgotten about, and it gets released, and then it just clears another area for for more healing to come up.
Okay, can you? It's incredible just how this whole thing works. I love the image of the peeling the onion, because I think
Mhm.
that's so real in so many different aspects of our lives. Just getting, there's a lot of therapy around, peeling back to the onion as far as, past traumas, getting to the core of it, where it started. Can you real quick, just for me personally, can you explain the chakras a little bit more? We hear the third eye is probably the most common one I've heard of. Is there certain things that we need to know in terms of what the different chakras stand for, and anything like that we need to know?
Well, I know that the crown chakra is your connection to your higher power, to God,
Okay.
and it flows through. So if that's clogged, you're not as connected to your higher power. The third eye is a spirituality, opening up that spirituality. Your throat chakra, a lot of people that have thyroid issues, other issues, they are not speaking their truth. So, so
that's fascinating.
Yeah. Heart goes sort of without speaking. Heart is your heartfelt feelings. And then your solar plexus, your sacral, the root chakra, it's grounding yourself down into the ground and to be rooted in a balance. That's sort of it simply.
Okay. Are those all the chakras?
There's 7 chakras. Yeah. The 7 main chakras, but I mean, like, there's chakras all over the place. I don't know that much about all of them.
Does chakras have anything to do with like trigger points? Or is that just a completely different thing?
To me, I think it's different. Totally different. Yeah. Trigger points, I believe, have to do with muscle. That's what I believe trigger points.
That sounds right. That sounds right. One thing that I think is super cool is, you're in our office every single day and you see so much. We treat a lot of hormones, treat a lot of weight loss, a lot of thyroid, as you mentioned. Have you noticed anything in our particular patient base and in kind of energy type stuff, like in terms of like, what can you just kind of fill us in? I'm seeing you kind of smile, because it's really like, it's really cool, because you've been working with us for so long, and you know our patients as well as anybody. What sort of Reiki type stuff have you noticed within our patient base and energy stuff?
Well, I know that there's times that I'll be working, just taking somebody's blood pressure or doing something or whatever, and I will lay my hands on them, and with permission. I have a girlfriend that has turned to a girlfriend, a patient of ours, Bev. She told me to tell you about her. She said, "Tell them about."
What's up, Bev? I hope, Bev, you're listening. We love you.
But she said, "Tell them about how when I come in there with high blood pressure and I'm all nervous and everything, that you just put your hands on me and you go like this on me and you calm me down, and then my blood pressure goes down." And I do that with some people, especially her, because I know it works for her real well.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's so cool. And anything else in particular? And for one, I told you this. I remember coming to the office one time after I went to the dentist, and I told you that they took my blood pressure right before I was getting either my teeth cleaned or a cavity filled, and my blood pressure was just through the roof. And I immediately came to the Knoxville office, and I'm like, "Ro, you've got to check my blood pressure. This is crazy."
I remember.
You checked it, and it was like, "This is normal."
That's because I was there.
That's right. You were passing along that good energy, and because I was super nervous. I'm not a huge fan of going to the dentist in the first place, and they took my blood pressure, and it was through the roof. Which, I'm sure people who come into our office, maybe a little nervous because you're seeing the doctor, that sort of thing. So I'm sure this sort of thing really helps. So I think
especially the first time that they come in.
Sure. Like if they don't know you, or if they don't know Robin or April or Dr. Rogers, like it'd be a different thing. So
Mhm.
anything else you've noticed specifically with hormones? Because I know, you see a lot of low hormones, and then, through treatment, they get, optimized. What's your thoughts on that?
As far as what I would do with Reiki with them?
No, just as far as like, do you think energy type stuff can affect hormones? Do you think
Oh gosh, yeah.
in a
Oh,
positive
yeah.
or negative way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything is energy, that's the thing. Everything in life is energy, and thankfully, science has finally come up to realize that everything that is alive is energy. So, that's a great thing that science is finally on our side. But, it's proven, but, I mean, that's why we can do an EKG on somebody and pick up, what their heart's doing because of the energy, and the Reiki is about soothing that energetic field. So, and there have been times, I don't know if this answer has anything to do with your question or not, but I know people are going through a certain time, and I'll draw their blood, and I'll actually pray over their blood before we send it off. Because to me, it's not just me putting my hands on the person or this or that. It's, to me, Reiki also has to do with prayer in motion all the time. When I give a shot, I'm praying and I'm giving out that energy. And I try to just do this with everything that I do in there. When people are nervous and everything, I try to sit and talk to them. I'll put my hands on them and talk to them, and try to help them feel comfortable.
How cool is that? Like, for the people listening, I mean, how cool is that? I,
Your your blood's
like,
being prayed over.
honestly, like,
Yeah.
I think that is so neat, and we're certainly blessed to have you in our offices, and doing that, because that is hard emotional work. And I want to ask, when you say soothe the energetic field, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean to you in particular? What does soothing the energy mean?
Sometimes when you're working on somebody, and you get used to feeling their energy. Like right now, if I were to walk up to somebody and close my eyes, I've learned to be able to get to the point where I could feel where their aura starts, and I can feel it. So when I'm working on them, whether it's above them or on their body, you can feel like a different type of vibration, a different kind of feeling. You would sometimes I will get like in my mind's eye a vision of something, and I'm trying to clear it and make it soothe, like get rid of the friction of it and make it more healed, I guess. But it's, to me, it's soothing it.
And you're doing that with your thoughts, with your mind, like just in terms of just being aware, or
Being
sometimes.
aware, being aware, but letting God flow through me and help um, balance it. So
Mhm.
soothing would mean balancing as well.
That's really interesting. When you say knowing where an aura starts, does
I'll
are you
do that with
talking?
you one day. I'll do it
I,
with
I,
you
wa-
one day.
I want to.
I'll show you. Well, I'll show you how to practice that.
I feel like I'd love that.
Mhm.
I feel like my aura is 10 feet in front of me. I feel like I have an aura that extends.
You do. You have that loving, big aura. You do.
So are we talking more in, like, how close to somebody's body an aura starts, and it could be, so
Well,
when
they
somebody.
generate it out,
Okay,
and yeah. So it just depends. Okay. Do you want to hear a wild story?
I do. I would love a wild
Okay.
story.
Okay, so, as I said, with Sherry's sister, Rachel,
Mhm.
unfortunately, she did pass on. But I worked with her in the beginning at, she had already progressed to a point, but, I met Sherry and we started working. So she would come to my house and I would work on her. And there were times that I would get like a vision in my head of a man and a this and a that. And she'd say, "Oh my God, that's my father." Or
Mm.
I see a dog. I remember that one time. There's a dog that looks like this, and it's looking at you, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's blah blah blah." And so things like this happen during these things. I don't make them up. I couldn't because I have no idea
Right.
about these things. Um, but as time went on, I had gone to the hospital several times to see her and work on her, and then she was in a nursing home. And when it got towards, it was actually the day, and I would work on her with my hands, sometimes above maybe a couple feet. A lot of times with me, my hands, I do Reiki, but I also do whatever I feel is led. So sometimes my hands are moving. Um, it's sort of like a flow Reiki. And and but this day, it was the day before she passed. She was already not very coherent. She was totally asleep all the time. We didn't know if she was hearing us or anything. So everybody went out of the room, and I just sat there and started working on her. And her aura, I mean, where I felt like I had to work was probably 6 to 10 feet away from her body, which the way that I could only interpret it would be that she was opening up to
Mm.
go home. It was a totally different thing. I have chills all over talking about it. I love that woman. Um, but that's what I experienced with it, that it expanded because I feel like she was opening to that. And that same day, the other wild thing was that I also, in my mind's eye, which happens a lot, I felt that there were on either side of her these huge angels, like you would think of Archangel Michael, Gabriel, huge up, and they went higher than the ceiling and helping her
Mm.
be prepared to go. I did not know she was going to pass away the next day. And she was in a total like sleep, not responding. And then all of a sudden she opened up her eyes and looked at me, and I said, "Hi, honey, it's just me, Rosanne." And she just looked like she was peaceful, and then closed her eyes back down. And then later, um, her mom asked me, because she was in the hallway, had gone for a walk, what had happened, and I told her about the angels. And she was like fascinated with it. And I just told her about that, and that, just feel peaceful that she's surrounded by angels. They are helping her. And what the wild part about it is that the next day Sherry came to me and said, "My mother was talking about angels. She doesn't talk about things like that. She never talks about spiritual things." That's amazing. So it opened that door for her mom
Mm.
to get into the spiritual realm.
It's wild, like I feel like things work in ways that we can't fully understand, and there's always it kind of makes you truly believe everything happens for a reason. Often things that are extremely tragic and terrible things, but there's always some good that came out of such things, and man, that is a wild story. That is a wild story, and
Yeah,
it's all, you know, I'm still hearing it's all energy,
everything
uh,
is. Mhm.
and I is that comforting to you? Out of curiosity, like, is that something, or is that just like reality? Is it just like it is what it is, or the fact that life is energy?
It's thrilling
Is
to
that
me.
a, okay? What do you mean by that?
Um, the only way I could say it is, ever since I was a little kid, I always had felt that God could work through my hands to help people, help heal them. I never had the confidence of anything, and you're always growing.
Yeah.
I had encouragement from my father, because my father, he'd say, I have a terrible headache. And I'd be like, okay, this is before I had any training of anything. And I would just, sometimes my hand would go right to somewhere on his back. And he'd be like, oh my God, I feel that shooting up right to my head. And then I would just follow whatever my hands did. And he would be like, you're a healer, you're a healer. And it was just like, okay. But it was what that is. And when things like that happen, to me, are affirmation, like confirmations of, because my biggest, I might tear up at this, my biggest thing in life is being connected to God.
Mm.
That is me. And that is everything. And I've wanted to grow to be completely connected to God and do work for God. So when things like this happen, that is where my heart's joy comes from. That is, I'll leave somebody sometimes and I will just cry, because it is just a confirmation that big God in this world wants to work through little me, who is so flawed. I'm so damaged. I've been damaged. I've gone through so many things, but God works through me. And it's just a confirmation that, yeah, you're still there. You're still there,
That's so cool. And I think, when you say God works through you, and I believe that, he does with all of us in different ways. And it's funny now that, we're having this conversation, I can kind of see the role energy plays in that, because how else could he work through you? It has to be some sort of energy transfer, or something of that nature. It certainly makes you think of energy differently, because I think for me, I've always thought of energy as you either, have it or you don't. And when you don't, you chill out and rest up.
Oh,
But
like energy, like coffee
yeah,
energy. No, you
that's
love
why
your coffee.
that's why I have coffee all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
But energy also seems to be just a way of being, like a way of a presence, a way of being in this world. Is that kind of how you?
Yeah, it flows through everything. It flows through the trees and the flowers and the plants and the animals and everything. It just flows through them. And then when there's an imbalance in that energy because of illness or something like that, it's not a nice steady flow. It's not a balanced one. So that's what we try to do, is help balance that.
Do you think that imbalance has to do with anything that we do? Like, do we have any control over that? Or is it kind of like a flow, and there's going to be, ups and downs, and when our energy is off, we do our best to balance it? Or do you think we have some control internally of balancing our energy?
Everybody does. And anybody can do what I do, as long they just need to want to. Most people that do this type of work are people who have a heart for wanting to heal. If they feel like they want to heal themselves, they can meditate, do things to help their spiritual connection with the God of their own understanding, um, and help bring that to themselves. So everybody can do their own healing. And when we work on them, it's not me doing it. It definitely is God doing it, but it's waking up that own innate healing in themselves, because everybody has that in themselves. So it helps wake that up so that their body can heal themselves.
Well, we've always been, with performance medicine being in this integrative medical space where, it's still, it's a healthy blend between traditional and alternative. We're big believers in the body's ability to heal itself. And I think that's kind of what you're tapping into right now,
That's it.
is
Yeah.
is almost awakening the body to do that what it was designed to do in a way.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly it.
What's your thoughts, just out of curiosity? I'm a big kind of nerd around thoughts and the power that our thoughts have on our body and our way of being. What's your thoughts around thoughts and energy?
Thoughts become things.
Okay.
If you keep telling yourself, I'm ugly, I'm ugly, I'm ugly. I mean, that's a simple one. You're gonna be ugly. I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat. Give yourself, God, look at me. I look beautiful. I'm beautiful. I'm a beautiful being. Which I'm not real good at doing that. But the thoughts become things and you ingrain them. But if you let your thoughts be of a positive, you're going to bring more positive into your life. You're going to surround yourself with that. If you think negative, like I don't have any money and I'm going to be poor and I'm going to lose my house and da 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 da, you're going to bring that energy, because everything is energy. But if you sit and say, I have abundance, I have a beautiful home and I'm going to have this and that. You bring what your thoughts are to the table, basically.
I completely agree. And, so Reiki, I feel like not many people understand what Reiki is, because even after, we've been talking now for around 30 minutes, and I have a completely different understanding of Reiki than I did 35 minutes ago. And, why do you think that is? Why do you think that not many people understand what Reiki is? Is it now hitting a point where people are starting to look into, more alternative type stuff? What's your thoughts around Reiki as a practice and where it is in kind of the minds of people interested in their own health?
Well, okay. One thing that I'm really thrilled about is that, like I said before, that the scientific community does recognize that everything is energy. Because years ago, 20, 30 years ago, because I've studied all these things forever, but when people thought of it as like taboo, um, uh, not of God, because it was different and everything. And it's really, to me, at least in my world, connected to the same thing as if hands-on healing in the Bible. I mean, Jesus did it,
Mm-hmm.
but so many different religions and this and that have put a taboo on it. And so to me, I'm thrilled that they're proving it now. And I think now, as more integrative things come in and people are getting sick from being on medicine, not getting better, having to take more medicine for the other medicine, they're seeking other ways to help themselves and heal themselves. So they're opening up more to things like Reiki and other types of forms of natural healing. But it's basically ancient.
Yeah, it's probably one of the oldest forms of healing,
Mm-hmm.
using the power of energy and your body's own ability to heal itself, which I think, because I know we need to get off here in a couple minutes and I want to be respectful of your time. Is that how you would, for the people who had no understanding of what Reiki was coming into this podcast or this YouTube video, what would you say it is? Like, what would you leave us with in terms of, this is what Reiki is, and this is how, it has to do with healing the body?
It's getting in touch with the universal life energy, which is, to me, the God of your own understanding. My God is my God. But getting in touch with that, just as you would in prayer, having that come through you and through your hands And, there's different hand movements, there's different things, that you do, but just letting that come out to help your patient. I don't know if does that explain?
No, makes total sense.
Okay.
And how can we tune in, the rest of the day today, we're recording on a Saturday. How can we be a little more attuned to our energy? Like when can, if I go out and do you think should I be able to recognize if I'm giving off good, healthy energy or when I'm a little bit imbalanced?
I've never really seen you give off bad energy. I mean, I really mean that.
Well, thank you.
But I'm sure you have your days.
Yes.
But you've seen me with my days. But just my simple thing would be pray for awareness. If you want to know, pray for awareness, and then God will bring that to you. And you'll go, oh, look what I just did. It's just, asking for awareness. And
you know what?
It's
amazing, just in the power of asking and asking for the right things, and energy is certainly, you can't go wrong. Rosanne Holt, I love you.
I love you.
I tell you what, in order for me to get to see your face, we're gonna have to do more of these.
Well, I've got lots of other topics you don't know that I do or have done or have studied my whole life. So I got lots.
Well, Rosanne, we love you so much. We are so blessed to have you in our Knoxville office and involved with performance medicine. Thank you so much for explaining what Reiki is. I can't wait to see you in person here shortly. I'm going to be by the office hopefully next week.
Okay.
And guys, this has been just a wonderful conversation with Rosanne about Reiki. If you have any more questions, be sure to put those in the comments. If you're on YouTube, you can email us at info@performancemedicine.net. We're going to dive into this topic a little bit deeper over the next couple of months because there's a lot of questions coming in about it. So we're happy to have Rosanne on. Life is energy, everybody. We love you. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Outside the Box. And as always, we will see you guys next time. Rosanne, I'll see you very soon.
Okay. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.